Welcome to Psychology of Daf. We are in Gemara Succah Daf Chaf Hey, and tonight we're going to talk about wedding night trauma. Now, our Gemara in Amud Aleph discusses the concept of osek b'mitzvah pater min a mitzvah, which means that someone who's involved in a mitzvah is exempted from performing another matter that comes up, any other type of mitzvah. However, in this discussion, the Gemara discusses a groom on the night of the wedding. And the groom on the night of the wedding is pater from Kriya Shema because they describe it as osuk betirdas beilas mitzvah rishona. He somehow or another caught up, engrossed in the matter of the first act, the first consummation of the marriage, the first sexual act. And as we understand from the Gemara and also the Mefarshim, Rashi and the Ran, we understand that it requires a separate exemption because unlike other mitzvahs where you're doing an action, this is a mitzvah that's occurring only in thought. In other words, we see from here that the preoccupation of the groom on the evening of the wedding, it's not a physical preoccupation, it's a mental preoccupation, and yet he's still exempt. And this tells us something about the nature of what's going on and what Chazal understood about the mentality of the chassan. I don't think the wedding night is treated seriously enough by both modern and more insular communities within the Orthodox community. You know, imagine one Pesach night where Eliyahu Navi comes and there's a Harashah, a special exemption. A prophet can tell you what to do and even abrogate the laws of the Torah temporarily. So imagine Eliyahu Navi comes and one Seder night says that instead of having matzah and maror and eating be'aseba and having the arba kosas, no, you're supposed to have a ham and cheese sandwich and eat it with haseba. Even if a person deeply, deeply believed what Eliyahu Navi was telling him, he or she would choke on the matzah. Now, how can we then expect normal young men and women to transition in one night from considering sexuality to be forbidden to be considered a special mitzvah? This is what young groups and brides are up against. Now, while many manage to go through this experience well enough, others have extreme difficulty from impotence and vaginismus for women, and sometimes these are temporary hiccups, but if they're not handled well, they can infuse a sex life with years and years of aversion and anxiety. Months of suffering and trips to professionals could have been averted by recognizing how difficult this is and providing adequate counseling. I believe that Chazal, unlike perhaps some modern chassan and kala teachers, really understood this idea deeply and understood the full mental focus and support that the chassan and kala need and the guidance throughout this process, because it doesn't start at the beginning. It doesn't start on the wedding night. It doesn't start at the engagement. Teaching children and young adults about healthy attitudes towards sexuality starts almost from the day they're born.